services. Now, here's the challenge that we are taking on. Since they were created in the mid-60s, our senior centers have provided older New Yorkers with two basic services: nutritious meals and community space. And while those services have remained the same for nearly 50 years, it is true that the seniors population has changed dramatically. Seniors today are typically much more active, and the senior population is also much more racially and ethnically diverse than it was 5 decades ago in the city. It is also growing at a rapid rate. Today there are 1.3 million people aged 60 and over in our city, a number that is expected to increase by 46% over the next 25 years. To keep pace with our evolving senior population, I'm pleased to announce today that we've selected 8 community-based organizations to pioneer innovative new models of service in 8 of our senior centers. Now, specifically, these organizations are, and they are represented by people behind me today, the Jewish Community Center of Staten Island, where we've gathered today. Home field, you always get a big round of applause. Bronxworks, Lenox Hill, the YM and YWHA of Washington Heights, Self-Help Community Services, Services Now for Adult Persons, or SNAP, SNAP, Visions and Services and Advocacy for Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, and Transgender Elders, or SAGE, S-A-G-E. And we are providing these 8 organizations with $3.5 million in city funds, which will be supplemented by private dollars to create new programs and incorporate new technologies. They will continue to provide the basic services that our senior centers have always had, like nutritious meals, a community space to meet friends, and a place to keep cool in the summer. But now they will also provide much, much more. For instance, this JCC site, which never has operated a senior center before, is transforming its facility, which has primarily served youth. And that's going to give hundreds of seniors access to tremendous equipment and facilities, including an Olympic-sized swimming pool that will help enhance their health. And that's not all. Bronxworks intends to expand programs at its center in Morris Heights that help seniors self-manage chronic disease. The Washington Heights YM and YWHA will offer its seniors a dinner option. SNAP in Queens Village has plans to create programming specifically designed for its local Indian community. Lenox Hill on the Upper East Side is going to offer underwater photography classes. I was thrilled when I read that. They must think there's a demand for it. And to start a club to grow a rooftop garden. There you go. Like that. Self-Help in Flushing is expanding its technology to allow homebound seniors the chance to participate virtually in its senior center activities. Visions is creating a senior center on West 23rd Street in Manhattan, specifically for those who are visually impaired. And SAGE is opening our city's first ever full-service center for LGBT seniors in Chelsea. Now, this is how New York will remain the most age-friendly city in the 21st century. I do want to add that there are many senior centers throughout the city that are already providing strong and engaging programs, and these centers do deserve a lot of credit. But up to this point, there has not been a citywide standard or even an expectation for senior centers to provide more than the basics. And we need to abandon the one-size-fits-all approach that has shaped our senior centers over the past 50 years and begin reimagining them anew. And that's exactly what these innovation grants will help us do. Each of these 8 organizations will be given a certain level of autonomy to experiment, innovate, and attract new talent and energy. But in return, this is always another side, we are going to hold them accountable for producing results. Yes. And our commissioner for the Department for the Aging, Lillian Barrios Paoli, and her staff will oversee this effort, frequently evaluating the programs, participation rates, and also health outcomes. So now let us hear from some people that know an awful lot more about this than I do. I am much more likely to be a client rather than one who delivers the services. Let me start with Linda Gibbs, the city's Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services. And Linda is going to describe how today's announcements fits in with our larger comprehensive effort to make New York City more friendly for seniors.
Congratulations to all the awardees. We're really excited about getting this initiative going and the leadership that they're providing. This initiative sits within a broad set of initiatives that are part of our age-friendly city plan. The mayor unveiled that plan a couple of years back, and we've been busy implementing ever since. We're really proud that we actually received from the World Health Organization the first designation as an age-friendly city under the criteria that the World Health Organization has been establishing. No surprise to anybody, this is a worldwide trend. We are healthier, longer, which means we're all getting older. And we're able to get older and older, and I think for somebody who is born today, their survival rate is expected to be 105 years old, right? So our world is changing. Our world is a tremendously changing place, and we really have to start to think differently about that. And that's what being age-friendly is all about. Thinking about how the world needs to look and feel differently depending on your interests, your mobilities, how you spend your time as you grow old. And so the Age-Friendly Initiative does just that. It thinks about how to navigate the streets. It thinks about the kind of social activities folks are going to be interested in. It thinks about the buying power of the elderly. Folks are in New York City because of the mayor's great work on making the city a safe city by making it a city that is full of attractions, museums, theater, music, great places to walk, parks to visit. This is becoming an elderly retirement destination. And so being smart about making it accessible to those who are older and making it a place that is welcome to all. And I think the biggest part of this, and it's a challenge that we all face, is how to think about in our, what sometimes can feel very much like a youth culture, incorporating the wisdom, the maturity, the judgment of older New Yorkers into our thinking in every aspect of our life is a big part of the cultural shift that has to happen as well. So we're very, very proud that the World Health Organization has recognized us as the first age-friendly city. And we just signed an international declaration with over 30 cities that have met this standard. So this is a rapidly rapidly changing world, and rapidly expanding conversation where more and more are coming along to this. And so again, congratulations, and we're really looking forward to implementing this initiative with our partners here and continuing to push forward on the age-friendly plan overall.
Commissioner William Barrios Paoli, to discuss some of the innovations that we're going to start seeing in our senior centers. Will?
Well, he's my favorite mayor. So thank you. I really wanted to emphasize that this was really a collaborative project. I want to be very grateful to the mayor for helping us get it funded, to the Deputy Mayor Linda Gibbs, who's been absolutely the wind behind our sails here. But I want to thank the community and the agencies that participated. Very especially, I want to thank Bobby Sackman, who one day came into my office and told me about this great idea she had in the shower. Literally, she told me. And today, this is her great idea. So I want to thank everyone who participated. We had many sessions trying to form the idea of an innovative center and the parts that it would have and come to a consensus. So I'm really excited that this opens a whole new page on what senior centers will be in the future. So thank you to everyone.
JCC of Staten Island for hosting us today, and its Executive Director, David Sorkin, joins us. David, you want to say about what kind of changes we're going to see here?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome to the Jewish Community Center. Certainly the JCC is so very proud to have been selected as one of the 8 innovative senior centers, and the only one to serve the people of Staten Island. We are particularly proud that you have chosen our center to announce this launching of this new concept, in that we believe that we can change lives in the active adult population by providing opportunities for what the JCC is calling our 8 centers of excellence, which are technology, education, arts and culture, health and wellness, social action, and intergenerational programs. Staten Island's Innovative Senior Center will be called the Center for Lifelong Development. and have plans to draw upon active adults' strengths, knowledge, experience, creativity, and interest that will appeal and address the needs of the growing and increasingly diverse, as the mayor told us, active adult population in Staten Island, certainly in the city. Empowering senior adults to shape and guide the ever-evolving ISC services activities is the heart of our vision and the Center for Lifelong Development, and will attract and engage large numbers of active adults from various backgrounds, ages, lifestyles, and socioeconomic situations here on Staten Island. The JCC's CLLD will develop an array of committees and other mechanisms that will provide numerous opportunities for participants to assume meaningful leadership roles in program planning, implementation, in partnership with highly skilled and committed professionals. In essence, we envision the JCC's ISC as a resource to fulfill the desire of active adults for respect, dignity, supports to help them live as independently as possible within our own community, opportunities for continued growth and social engagement, and chances to engage in activities that interest them. And of course, we are delighted that we are able to welcome them to utilize the incredible and wonderful resources of this beautiful full-service Joan and Alan Bernikow Jewish Community Center. Thank you.
Proud to partner with the Council of Senior Centers and Services in developing this program, and I'd like to ask its Executive Director, Igal Jelinek, to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg, for inviting me, representing Council of Senior Centers and Services, to join you as we celebrate the future of senior centers. More importantly, thank you for your leadership in bringing innovative senior centers from a dream to implementation. I dare say that in these difficult fiscal times, it took courage to stay the course. Innovative Senior Centers was a recommendation from CSCS's award-winning study of senior centers, the largest of its kind. Today it is being put into operation. The study was undertaken as the mayor's vision of an age-friendly city was being developed, and it sought to change the conversation around the delivery of senior services. We expect these innovative senior centers will do just that. They will be testing what works for New York's older population, and that will help all 256 centers in the city and reflects the mayor's commitment to the entire network of senior centers and the seniors they serve. Out of this laboratory will come senior centers that serve underserved population and others that will test ways to streamline how existing centers operate. I want to thank again Mayor Bloomberg and his team, Deputy Mayor Linda Gibbs, Commissioner Lillian Barras-Paoli, our good friend, for the commitment to this project. I know you join me in looking forward to the exciting outcomes that lie ahead, all of which will have been made possible by a powerful partnership that included government, foundations, and the not-for-profit sector. This partnership is an example of what can be accomplished when a good idea meets goodwill and determination. Thank you.
Now, thank you, and last Councilman David Greenfield from Brooklyn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, it takes a lot to get someone from Brooklyn to cross the bridge over to Staten Island. Today is a great day, and I'm excited to be here today with the mayor and the deputy mayor and the commissioner, all the wonderful social service providers. And I think you know, the mayor deserves a lot of the credit for the vision that he has placed in terms of having an age-friendly New York and the resources that the mayor has placed. And of course, the city council, led by our speaker, Christine Quinn, has made a significant commitment, and we have a large percentage of the DFTA budget is funded, of course, by the New York City Council. I would just say that what's so incredible about it today is that as the chair of the Senior Center Subcommittee on the Council, as someone who visits many senior centers, many of our senior centers are terrific, and many are still stuck in the original mode of basically, you know, chicken and peas and some card playing. And I think that as seniors are living longer, becoming more sophisticated, and are becoming more advanced, we need to not only service them, but attract them to come to these senior centers as well. And so I think that today is the start, really, of what is the future of senior centers, which are innovative senior centers. And I also want to thank CSCS, and of course Bobby Sackman, who works overtime behind the scenes on all these issues, and especially, I will agree with the Mayor, everyone's favorite commissioner, Commissioner Lillian Barris Pioli, and the Deputy Mayor Linda Gibbs for pushing this effort as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me also just introduce the representative from each of the organizations that's participating, and if you could all raise your hand when I see if I can read my notes here. Marty Englisher, Executive Director, YMYWHA of Washington Heights. Priscilla Masonnet, Program Director, Self-Help in Flushing. Nancy Miller, Executive Director of Visions, West 23rd Street in Manhattan. Catherine Thurston, Program Director at Sage in Chelsea. Lauren Scharf, Executive Director, Lenox Hill on the Upper East Side. Linda West from SNAP, Executive Director, she is of Queens Village. And services now for adult persons, Maria Rivera, Program Director of Bronx Works. Before we take some questions, let me just briefly summarize today's announcement for our Spanish-speaking audience. Cuidar bien a la gente de tercera edad es muy importante para la ciudad de Nueva York. Hoy elegimos 8 grupos de recibirán fondos para crear centros innovadores para personas de tercera edad y crear nuevos programas para ayudar a la gente mejor. And with that, we'll be happy to take some questions. Sir.
Question for the director from Sage, if I may. How did your center come to be? And the mayor, I think, said this is the first of its kind in the nation.
Well, I think that's a great question. It is the first, as far as we know, municipally funded LGBT senior center in the country. And it came to after years of advocacy and wonderful dialogue on the part of my predecessors at Sage, my current executive director, Michael Adams at Sage, and the commissioner, and then the deputy mayor and the mayor. So it was just a series of very good dialogue about the needs of special populations across the city, including, but not limited to, including LGBT older adults across New York City.
How would it be different than an average senior center?
Well, I think all 8 of our centers are going to be different than the average senior center, which is the very point of this innovative model. But for us at Sage, it is different because historically, and as we know, many lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender older people do not feel comfortable accessing their local senior centers for a variety of reasons. And this is the first time that our country has recognized that, and our city has recognized that, and it will mean that people will have a place to be safe and age in community together.
Yes, sir?
Just a general question. So are these innovations going to be mandated at some point, or is this purely voluntary in the parts of the...
Linda, you want to or Linda?
Well, we are looking to see what are the programs that really work, and those that really work, yes, we will try to propagate them throughout the whole, all of the senior centers. But my sense is that, before we mandate it, people would want to do it because they're going to work, they're going to better the health of the seniors, their whole life, the way they go around their life. So my sense is that they would be embraced rather than mandated. But yes, at some point I think that whatever we find works is going to go throughout the system.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask Commissioner another question? I imagine most seniors go to their neighborhood center, but when some seniors read or see that these super centers are opening, would they be open to anyone? Could I drive to this center from Brooklyn and use it?
Yes, everybody is welcome to come to every center. And part of what we're doing with some of the centers is looking at whether we need to augment some of the transportation expenses that they have, so that it becomes really accessible to everybody. We're also hoping that the neighborhood centers use the innovative centers as a resource, so that not everybody has to reinvent the wheel, but that they can come to programs at the innovative centers.
Yes, sir.
Could I put you on the spot and just ask, what is the most innovative innovation or unusual thing that you have seen?
Underwater photography.
I think what we're looking for, I mean, the biggest thing is that we've begun to think differently about what seniors are, what they need, and what the programs should look like. So I think that that's the biggest thing, just sort of like changing the model altogether. I think the more creative things are, you know, gardening, rooftop gardening, going into ecological things, going out of the neighborhood and looking at other resources, doing a lot around, you know, continuing education. There's a lot of interesting educational stuff, a lot of technology. I like a lot of the health-centered initiatives. I think many seniors have issues around managing chronic diseases. How do you live? It's not just enough to live longer, you want to live healthier. You want to learn about what your limitations are physically and learn how to handle them. You know, healthy, you know, hopefully we'll all be healthy, but as you get older, there are a lot of things that happen to you and your body that you learn to manage. And if you manage them well, you can live a wonderful life. And that's what we want to change. There's too much diabetes, too much high blood pressure, too much, you know, falls, all these kinds of things that can be prevented.
Are seniors today different than the seniors in the past? I mean, this is a different population.
Listen. You know, I am 65 years old. When my grandmother was 65 years old, she looked totally different, and what she wanted to do with her life was totally different. So yes, I think so. I think that you know, people are aging differently, and what they can do is different.
You're 65?
Yeah.
You're in your mid-30s.
I've aged here.
But Linda said if you're born today, life expectancy and a question of where or whatever could be as much as 105. Keep in mind that in New York City now, life expectancy is greater than the country as a whole. So I always kid about it, but if you have friends who live elsewhere and they want to live longer, statistically, they will do that if they move here. And it's because of low crime, it's because of low accident rates, it's because of all of the things that we work on all the time in terms of public health and safety, and making it an interesting place. If you stay interested, all the statistics show you'll live longer. And the life expectancy in New York has increased by 1 year and 7 months in the last 10 years. Just think about 8.4 million people living, because that's what the numbers really do, at a little over a year and a half more. It's an amazing increase in life expectancy. Yes, Miss?
Governor Andrew Cuomo will announce the new fiscal year budget. And
what does that got to do with this? We'd be happy to take questions later, but do you have anything that has to do?
Yeah, lots of senior citizens are fearing that their senior centers might be shut down because...
you know, the governor has got a very difficult job dealing with the state budget. Wall Street, a lot of people want to vilify, is a very important, it's even more important to the state budget than it is to the city budget. And if their earnings go down and their employment goes down, it's going to make it tougher. And the governor's going to have to make some very hard choices. I think he's been doing a good job making those choices. Nobody is going to be happy with any cuts. Everybody says, cut the other guy's thing. The trouble is today, most people use most services. They really don't think about it, but they do. So that when you're cutting from everybody. We have to find ways to enhance revenues. I've said at a national level, I think we should raise everybody's taxes, not just one group. That would be $150 for the average family, but you're never going to balance the budget unless you do this. And everybody should share in it. And in the cuts, we should cut services that everybody uses, because only if everybody shares will you ever get it through the political process. And so what you like isn't necessarily what's going to work. But the governor's going to deal with this, and hopefully New York City will be treated better than it was last time. I stood up and said I don't think we were treated fairly, and we're going to fight like heck this time for more services for New York. But it's going to be very tough times for seniors, juniors, and everybody in between. Yes, Miss?
Yes. You talk about results. I'm not sure what you mean by what results.
Well, I'm going to taste the chicken and peas afterwards. David talked about it, and I can tell you. Lily?
Yes. You know, what we wanted to do is not just have programs for the sake of having programs, although some things will be fun and we'll enjoy it, but we wanted to do measurements. For example, when you walk into a senior center, what is your blood pressure? What is your cholesterol level? Do you have diabetes? And then we'll have programs and we will measure whether your health improves, whether you're getting better, whether you're more mobile. You know, just to know that our programs are being effective. So, you know, falls prevention. You know, we know how many people are going into the hospital emergency room with falls. If we do this program, is that number going down in that community? So we want to make sure that what we're doing makes sense and improves the lives of the seniors. Not just that it's nice. It's good that it's nice, but we want to make sure it's effective.
Other topics? Yes, Miss.
Mayor, you used your response to Governor Cuomo's comments this week that the Justice Department ruling on wheelchair accessible cabs could A, imperil the bill in Albany, and B, force you actually to make the livery cabs wheelchair accessible?
Well, number one, I don't know that just because the Justice Department says something that we wouldn't find something different if it were to go to court, and I'm not sure what the city's going to do yet. We've been studying it. The bill that would give taxi service to 4 boroughs and everything north of 96th Street in Manhattan that have not had taxi service ever is a bill that will really make a big difference. It will also generate $1 billion, which will save a lot of seniors' homes and teachers and everything else in the city. This is a good bill. It's been negotiated with the taxi industry and passed by both houses. The governor said he has some ideas how to make it a little bit better and assured me that he would work on those expeditiously and that we're going to have a bill passed. If we have to address the issue of wheel cab accessible cabs differently than what we think we should be doing, and we have a plan which we think makes a lot more sense than what the Attorney General suggested. If we were to insist on all cabs being wheelchair accessible, they sell for about $15,000 more. Their suspension is much worse, so the average person riding in them finds them really uncomfortable, and they use a lot more gas. So there's some reasons not to do it with every cab, but also if you're in a wheelchair, it's really hard to go out in the street and hail down a cab and get the cab to pull over and get into it. And so forget about the other reasons. Just for that alone, we think there's a better ways to do it, and that's to have a service where you call and we will send designated cabs that are wheelchair accessible. It's a better answer to the problem, and rather than just say, well, every cab should be accessible, because if you take a look, there are cabs right now that are accessible and there's virtually no demand for them. And the reason I think more than anything, because certainly there are people in wheelchairs who need service, but they just can't go out and flag them down. It just doesn't work in a city like ours, and I don't know the Attorney General understands, you know, how people live in the city and the traffic patterns and that sort of thing. But we desperately need this bill passed, and I'm sure the governor's going to get that done. We've had 4 boroughs in Manhattan, north of 96th Street, you literally have no cab service. And that's just wrong, and we should do something about it. We also need the money of selling more medallions, and there are some people that say, oh, more medallions will depress the price. I think today there was a sale of $1 million for a medallion. It's the first time it hit $1 million, and there's a company, ticker symbol is TAXI, that owns a bunch of medallions. Their stock hit a record high yesterday or today, so nobody thinks that we're going to depress the price of medallions. Yes, Miss?
The recent arrest of police officer Darajati here on Staten Island has highlighted some issues that Hispanic men and black men have long accused the NYPD of in terms of racial profiling and false arrests. I wondered if you could respond to this arrest, and also that the city...
if he said what he did, it's a disgrace, and we'll let the legal process take its way. I think the New York Police Department is the model for police departments, for big city police departments around the world. If you think about the diversity of the police department, it is really quite amazing. It actually mirrors the city's population down to small percentage points differences. The NYPD, I think they shoot their guns dramatically, like an order of magnitude less than they do in any other city if you're just for per capita. The city police department investigates every allegation of a biased attack. The NYPD keeps us safe. They keep this the safest big city in the country. And that is not hard, that's not easy to do when we are obviously one of the terrorist big targets. So with a very difficult job, I think the NYPD has conducted itself exemplary. And if there's one guy, that's a disgrace, and we'll take care of that. Yes, sir?
One or two more, and then... There's a report today that a a franchise bus service that caters mostly to Orthodox Jews is asking women passengers to sit in the back of the bus.
That is obviously not permitted. It's a private bus, they can do it. Private people, you have to have a private bus, go run a bus and do what you want on it, as long as certain limitations. This is an outrage. We will not permit that with city monies and that. Yes, miss?
Can you talk about the NYPD's attempts to dismantle the medical tent down at Zuccotti Park?
I have no idea of them trying doing. I happened to be there today, and there was a tent with red crosses on it, so they obviously didn't do anything. And there'd be no reason why they would want to do that. So I don't know where you come up with these things. Yes, sir. You're next.
Mr. Mayor, Scott Stringer, Jamani Williams, and Eric Evans have held a news conference calling for...
It's the first time?
A federal investigation of the NYPD's stop and frisk policy. Would you welcome such an investigation?
I think the NYPD conducts itself within the law, and that's one of the techniques they use to bring down crime. We go to every effort possible to make sure that we comply with all the laws. We believe we do so, and we certainly don't need to have anything else. What we've got to do is stop looking for problems and start pulling together and take this city forward. You can get tired of everybody finding something wrong with everything. We have to go and create jobs in this city. We can protest our hearts out why there aren't jobs, but that doesn't get us jobs. We've got to help the police department keep this city safe, rather than just say, oh, well, I don't like the look of that guy gave me, or whatever the minor complaint is. The bottom line is the city is growing in population. It is done much better than any other city. If you think about it, today is the first time, I think, in a long time, that one of our announcements hasn't been about jobs. Our administration is focusing on bringing jobs to this city. That's what people need, so that they can be self-sufficient, they can keep their houses, they can enjoy the greatest city in the world. And that's what we're going to keep doing. So this is a wonderful day. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.